The Kite Runner Summary and Analysis. There are some stories that haunt you long after you have turned the last page. The Kite Runner is one of them. It isn't just about friendship or betrayal. It's about how guilt can outlive time, how one moment can split your life into before and after. It begins in Kabul, a quiet, sun soaked city where two boys, Amir and Hassan, spent their childhood chasing kites and stories. Amir is the son of a wealthy merchant, Hassan his servant's son, but they are inseparable. One writes tales, the other listens, eyes wide, ready to believe anything Amir says. Hassan is loyal in a way most people never are. His first instinct is to protect. Amir's first instinct is to hesitate. That small difference defines everything that follows. You see, there is always a moment when you can do the right thing, or stay silent, and silence sometimes becomes the loudest thing you carry. Every winter, Kabul hosts its great kite flying tournament. To cut down your opponent's kite and claim it as your trophy is a matter of pride. That year, Amir wants to win, not for the love of kites, but for his father's approval. Baba, his father, is a man of strength and conviction, a man who believes real men stand up for what is right. Amir feels he is never measured up. Writing stories isn't mainly enough. So when Amir wins the tournament, he thinks everything will change. Hassan runs to fetch the last fallen kite, the final proof of Amir's victory. But that moment, Hassan running through the alleys, clutching a blue kite, turns into this scene that will haunt Amir for the rest of his life. Because something terrible happens, and Amir sees it. He could have spoken, he could have helped, but he doesn't. Fear wins, silence takes over, and from that point, the thread between the two boys begins to tear. After that day, Amir can't even look Hassan in the eyes. The guilt gnaws at him like rust. It eats into everything he touches. He tries to find peace by pushing Hassan away, by making him leave. Because sometimes, when we can't forgive ourselves, we punish those who remind us of what we have done. Then the world shifts. Kabul changes. The Soviets invade. Families flee. Baba and Amir escaped to America. They leave behind the house, the servants, the kites, and everything they ever knew. But guilt travels well. It crosses borders easily. In America, Baba becomes a gas station clerk. Amir goes to college. They build a smaller life, simple but safe. Yet Amir still dreams of Hassan, of the alley, of the blue kite. The past doesn't let go. It never does. Years later, after Baba's death, Amir receives a call from Rahim Khan, his father's old friend. There is a way to be good again, Rahim says. A simple sentence, but it pulls Amir back into the past he tried so hard to bury. He returns to Pakistan. The world he left behind is now unrecognizable. Kabul is under Taliban rule. The city that once smelled of kebabs and childhood now reeks of fear and dust. Rahim Khan reveals the truth Amir never expected. Hassan is gone, but he left behind something or someone who needs saving. And that someone might just be Amir's final chance at redemption. To reach that redemption, Amir must face everything he once ran from. The same streets, the same violence, the same cowardice that once defined him. He must choose, again, whether to stand up or stay silent. But this time, he can't afford silence. Throughout the story, Hosseini weaves guilt and forgiveness into every line. It's a book about atonement, about how love can be both a wound and a cure, about how some bonds are so deep even betrayal can't erase them. You see, The Kite Runner isn't just a story about two boys. It's a mirror. It asks a question most of us avoid. What would you do if doing the right thing cost you everything? The novel moves like memory, soft, then sudden. You are in Kabul one moment, California the next. Each chapter feels like a confession whispered too late. And in between, the image of a kite, bright, fragile, fleeting, keeps returning, as if begging for forgiveness. As Amir retraces his past, you begin to realize that redemption isn't about erasing mistakes, it's about facing them. The road back to goodness is long, sometimes bloody, but it exists. and only those who dare to walk it can find peace. Without spoiling the end, let's just say that Amir's journey takes him to places darker than he imagined. Yet within that darkness, there is a flicker of light, a boy's laugh, a kite in the wind, a second chance. And that's the genius of Khalid Hosseini. He doesn't hand you a neat ending. He leaves you with a feeling, a tightness in your chest, a whisper of hope, and a question that won't go away. Can love truly heal what guilt has destroyed? Even if you have never set foot in Afghanistan, you'll feel its dust on your skin after reading this. The story of the Kite Runner is universal. It's about fathers and sons, about friendship twisted by class and culture, about the human tendency to run from pain, from truth, from ourselves. But in the end, it's also about turning back. Because no matter how far you run, your shadow always keeps up. The Kite Runner is a rare kind of novel, one that forces you to sit with discomfort. You will question your own choices. You will think about the people you left behind. You will remember the times you stayed silent when you shouldn't have. And maybe, like Amir, you will start wondering if there is still a way to be good again. That's where the story leaves you. Not the answers, but with an ache. Not with closure, but with courage. The kind that makes you want to pick up your own kite, face the wind, and try again. Does the kite runner represent hope or hopelessness? The kite runner carries both hope and hopelessness, like two sides of the same coin. At its heart, it begins in hopelessness. A boy's silence destroys what was pure. His guilt follows him like a ghost, shaping every choice, every failure, every dream. You feel the weight of what can't be undone. That's the hopelessness. The sense that one mistake can ruin everything. But then, slowly, Hosseini turns the story towards light. He shows that redemption doesn't come from forgetting, but from facing what you have done. Amir goes back. He risks everything. He tries to make things right, even when it's too late to fix the past completely. That's where hope lives. Not to perfect endings, but in imperfect attempts. In the idea that even the most broken people can rise again. The final pages don't promise a miracle. They promise effort, healing, a small, trembling smile, a kite rising into the sky. So, yes, the kite runner begins in hopelessness and ends in hope. A fragile, flickering, but real kind of hope. The kind that reminds you that even after the worst betrayal, the heart can still choose goodness. The main characters of The Kite Runner. Amir. Amir is the narrator and central figure of the novel. Born into privilege, he grows up in Kabul surrounded by comfort but haunted by insecurity. His father's approval is his greatest obsession, and that hunger drives almost everything he does. Amir's flaw is not cruelty, but cowardice, the quiet kind that hides behind silence. He wants to be good, but he wants to be loved more, and in that conflict, he loses himself. What makes Amir compelling is not his innocence, but his guilt. He spends a lifetime running from one mistake, yet that same guilt becomes his reason to return to seek redemption. By the end, Amir becomes a man shaped by regret but driven by the hope that doing one brave thing can undo years of weakness. His story reminds us that remorse can break you or rebuild you. Hassan. Hassan is the heart of the story. The boy with the cleft lip, the kite runner who never lets his friend down. He is everything Amir isn't: brave, loyal, pure. Even when betrayed, he forgives. Even when humiliated, he stands tall. His loyalty isn't naive, it's born out of love that asks for nothing in return. Hassan's strength is quiet, steady, almost holy. He becomes a symbol of unconditional goodness in a world that keeps breaking him. Every act of kindness he offers deepens the shame in Amir's silence. Hassan's suffering is what gives the novel its moral weight. Long after he is gone, his presence lingers, in memory, in guilt, and in the blue kite that once fluttered over Kabul. Baba. Baba, Amir's father, is a man carved from pride and principle. In Kabul, He is respected, even feared, a man who built his fortune with his own hands. He believes in strength, in courage, in standing tall. But beneath his imposing figure lies a man at war with himself. His expectations crush Amir, even though he never means to. Baba's love is real, but heavy, the kind that demands proof. When he loses everything and starts over in America, Baba's pride slowly dissolves into humility. He works at a gas station, sells used goods at flea markets, and never complains. You begin to see his strength not in his dominance, but in his endurance. Through him, Husseini shows that real manhood is not about power, but sacrifice. Rahim Khan. Rahim Khan is Baba's close friend and the moral anchor of the story. He is the one person who truly understands Amir, his talent, his weakness, his guilt. While others judge, Rahim listens. His words carry quiet wisdom, like someone who has seen too much and learned when to stay silent. He encourages Amir to write, to tell stories, to be more than just his father's shadow. Years later, Rahim becomes the bridge between Amir's past and his redemption. His simple line, "There is a way to be good again," becomes the heartbeat of the novel. He is the one who holds the truth, but also the one who offers a chance at healing. In a world full of noise and judgment, Rahim Khan represents grace. Sohrab. Sohrab is Hassan's son, a reflection of everything lost and everything still worth saving. When Amir meets him, Sohrab has already seen too much pain for his age. He is quiet, withdrawn, and scarred. Yet beneath that silence lies the same innocence that once lived in Hassan. His eyes, his smile, his kite, they bring back the memory of what was pure. Through Sohrab, Husseini gives Amir his second chance. Saving Sohrab becomes more than an act of atonement. It's a fight against his own cowardice. But Sohrab's trauma isn't easily healed. His silence becomes its own story, one that asks whether forgiveness can truly erase pain. He is the novel's final thread of hope, fragile but unbroken. Asif. Asif is the embodiment of cruelty, a boy who turns into a monster. From the very beginning, his smile hides something rotten, a hunger for power, for dominance, for control. He idolizes Hitler, mocks compassion, and believes that the strong exist to crush the weak. In Kabul's divided world, he becomes the dark echo of what Amir could have become had his guilt turned to hate instead of remorse. Asif's violence isn't random, it's deliberate. He uses it to feed his twisted sense of justice. When Amir finally faces him years later, Asif becomes more than an enemy. He becomes the test, the final confrontation between guilt and courage, silence and redemption. He is both the nightmare and the necessary battle. The story needed him because redemption means nothing without facing what broke you. Farid. Farid enters the story as Amir's driver and guide when he returns to Afghanistan. He is blunt, bitter, and skeptical of Amir's intentions. To him, Amir is just another rich man visiting a broken country out of nostalgia. But Farid's roughness hides pain, years of war, loss, and survival. He represents the Afghan who stayed behind, who saw the destruction firsthand, who carries scars both visible and hidden. As the journey continues, Farid's attitude softens. He begins to see Amir's sincerity, his guilt, his longing to make things right. Their bond grows from distrust to respect. Farid becomes Amir's protector, his moral mirror, the voice that constantly reminds him how much Afghanistan has changed. Through Farid, Hosseini gives us the truth about the homeland. It's no longer a place of childhood dreams, but one of endurance and memory. Soraya. Soraya is Amir's wife, a woman with her own quiet story of rebellion and redemption. She is the daughter of General Taheri, proud and traditional, yet she defies those expectations. Before marriage, she carries a past she isn't proud of. But unlike Amir, she doesn't hide it. She owns her mistakes. The honesty makes her stronger. Through her, Amir learns what courage really looks like, not in winning kites, but in telling the truth. Suraya becomes Amir's anchor in America. She helps him build a life far from Kabul, yet she never lets him forget where he came from. When she learns his past, she doesn't judge, she stands by him. Her compassion brings balance to Amir's guilt. She is the quiet force in the story, proving that redemption isn't only found in grand gestures, but also in forgiveness, loyalty, and love that stays. Important questions about the Kite Runner. What is the main theme of Kite Runner? At its core, the Kite Runner is about redemption. It's the story of how guilt can destroy you and how the act of facing the guilt can set you free. Amir's entire life revolves around one cowardly moment from his childhood. He tries to bury it under distance, new countries, and time, but the past never dies quietly. Every decision he makes as an adult echoes that one failure to act. Hosseini weaves love, loyalty, and betrayal into this larger theme. Redemption doesn't come from words, but from action, from doing the thing you once ran from. The novel shows that even the most flawed person can find a way to be good. Not perfectly good, just better. And sometimes that's enough. How does social class affect the friendship between Amir and Hassan? Amir and Hassan share the same home but live in different worlds. Amir is a Pashtun, wealthy, privileged, educated. Hassan is a Hazara, poor, illiterate, and socially looked down upon. That invisible wall between them shapes everything they do. Amir loves Hassan, but deep inside, he believes they can never be equals. It's not hatred, but conditioning, the quiet cruelty of a system that divides children before they even understand it. Their friendship is pure, but tainted by unspoken hierarchy. Hassan serves, Amir receives. When the betrayal happens, it isn't just personal, it's social. Amir's silence is also the silence of privilege, the comfort of being able to walk away while the other suffers. Hosseini uses their relationship to show how class and ethnicity can twist love into guilt. Why does Amir feel so guilty throughout the novel? Amir's guilt is born in the alley, the moment he watches Hassan suffer and does nothing. That inaction becomes the wound that never heals. He tries to justify it, hide from it, even replace it with success, but guilt doesn't fade with time. It becomes a shadow that follows him everywhere, in his writing, in his marriage, in his silence. But Amir's guilt also becomes his compass. It pushes him to return to Afghanistan, to risk his life, to save Sohrab. It forces him to become the man his father always wanted him to be. In a way, Hosseini shows that guilt, when faced head on, can transform into purpose. It's not a curse, it's a mirror, one that never lies. How does Baba's relationship with Amir influence the story? Baba is both Amir's strength and his wound. He is larger than life, brave, respected, unbending, everything Amir feels he isn't. Baba's approval becomes Amir's obsession. Every act, even the kite tournament, is an attempt to earn that elusive nod of pride. Yet, Baba's love is complex. He loves Amir deeply but doesn't always know how to show it. His expectations cast a long shadow over Amir's childhood. When they move to America, their roles reverse. Baba, once powerful, becomes vulnerable. Amir, once timid, becomes his caretaker. In that reversal, love finally becomes visible. Quiet, tender, stripped of ego. Through Baba and Amir, Hosseini explores how fathers shape their sons and how forgiveness can heal even the coldest distance. What role does Afghanistan itself play in the novel? Afghanistan isn't just a setting, it's a living, breathing character. In the beginning, it's the land of innocence, kites, storytelling, childhood. Then, as the country falls into war and terror, that innocence collapses. The Afghanistan army returns to is scarred, silent, unrecognizable. The ruins of the city mirror his own inner ruin. Hosseini uses the changing landscape to reflect human emotion. The peaceful Kabul of Amir's youth becomes the brutal Kabul of his guilt. Yet, even in its destruction, Afghanistan remains sacred. Its home, broken but beloved. Through the country's journey, we see the same truth as in Amir's. You can lose everything, yet still find something worth saving. How does the novel explore the idea of forgiveness? Forgiveness in The Kite Runner is not handed out easily. It isn't a neat word at the end of a conversation. It's a long, painful climb. Amir must first forgive himself before he can seek forgiveness from others. Hassan forgives without being asked, and that unconditional grace becomes Amir's greatest torment. Sometimes the hardest forgiveness to earn is the one you already have. The story teaches that forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It redefines it. It gives meaning to pain. It turns guilt into growth. Through characters like Hassan, Rahim Khan, and even Sohrab, Hosseini suggests that forgiveness is not weakness but courage. It's the final act of love and the beginning of peace. What does the kite symbolize in the novel? The kite is the novel's most powerful symbol. In the beginning, it represents joy, freedom, and the bond between the two boys. The blue kite especially becomes the mark of Amir's victory and his betrayal. The moment it falls, everything changes. The kite becomes a reminder of guilt, something that once brought happiness but now carries shame. But by the end, the kite takes on a new meaning. It becomes a bridge between generations, between loss and healing. When Amir runs a kite for Sahrab, it's not about winning, it's about redemption, a silent apology carried on the wind. The same object that once symbolized betrayal becomes a symbol of hope. That's the beauty of Hosseini's storytelling. Nothing stays broken forever. Why would you want to read The Kite Runner? You would want to read The Kite Runner because it doesn't just tell a story, it reaches inside you and breaks something open. It's a book that rips your heart apart in quite unexpected places. One moment you are reading about two boys flying kites around under a clear Kabul sky, and the next you are watching innocence crumble in an alley. You feel helpless, you feel angry, and yet you keep turning the pages. Because deep down, you want to believe there is a way back from all that pain. This book doesn't offer an easy comfort. It forces you to face guilt, silence, and cowardice not as abstract ideas, but as human truths. Amir's journey from betrayal to redemption feels personal because we have all failed someone at some point, and we have all wished for a second chance. The story hurts, but it hurts with purpose. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every loss pushes you toward a fragile kind of hope. You will also see Afghanistan the way few books show it, full of laughter, dust, color, and ruin. Husseini's writing is simple, but it cuts deep. The characters live inside you. You will find yourself pausing at sentences that feel too real, too raw. And when you finish, you won't be the same. The Kite Runner doesn't just rip your heart apart, it hands you back the pieces and teaches you how to live with them. Why you may not want to read The Kite Runner? You may not want to read The Kite Runner if you are looking for an easy story. It isn't one. It's painful, unsettling, and emotionally heavy. Some chapters will leave you staring at the page, unable to move on. The book deals with betrayal, trauma, abuse, and the kind of guilt that never goes away. Hosseini doesn't soften the blow. He makes you feel every one of them. If you are someone who avoids emotional discomfort, this novel will test your limits. You may also struggle with how deeply it exposes human weakness. There is no perfect hero here. Amir, the narrator, makes choices that will make you angry. You might hate him at times. You might question whether he deserves redemption at all. That's the point. The book doesn't hand you easy forgiveness or moral clarity. It leaves you wrestling with it. For some readers, the story's raw realism can be too much. It takes you through war, loss, and the cruelty people inflict on each other. Sometimes in the name of power, sometimes in the name of silence. It's not escapism, it's confrontation. So if you want something light, something that doesn't stay with you after you close the book, The Kite Runner might not be for you. Because once you read it, it doesn't leave. It lingers in the back of your mind, in the small, quiet places where you hide your own regrets. I hope you have liked the summary and analysis of The Kite Runner. If yes, please like the video or subscribe to my channel so that you get a notification when I upload another video.